So I'll call the meeting to order at 3:31. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag, everybody know, of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item B is a consent agenda and public comment. So the agenda and board packet was circulated last week. Is there any additions to the agenda? Hearing none. Were there any changes, any issues with the meeting minutes? Hearing none. A motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
So moved, chat.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Next, item 2, citizens' comments. Are there any citizens to be heard? Any citizens? Okay, hearing none. We'll go on to section C of our agenda, which is the financial report. Stecker, will you?
Hello. Oh, yes, thank you. So in your packet, you have the profit and loss, the balance sheet, and the check detail. On the profit and loss, we were showing that January ended with negative $6,040.55. That was mostly us having paused cutting checks or dispersing any checks halfway through December, and then waiting until we were done wrapping up the year-end stuff. We ended up dispersing the checks, which you'll see was kind of an extensive list there on our checklist for January and half of December, while we are still in the process of manually entering all of those year-end transactions in Blackbaud through January, and then I will expect that you will see the updated reports from Blackbaud at our next board meeting. Yay!
So are there any questions to April on the financials? I do have one question. I see that Tom Ferraro is getting checked for $4,000. Is that Tom Ferraro as an artist, or is that a Tom Ferraro as a homeowner?
It was as the I'm sorry, what was the amount that you saw? The 1,000?
It's
Oh,
for the
that was
basement greenway.
Yep. Part of the Looking Glass project. He's having installments paid in 4,000 increments.
Okay, great. And that's part of the Greenway Trail project.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Thank you. He's worth every penny. All right. Any other questions on the financials? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the financial reports as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second, Kevin Nelson.
Thank you, Kevin. Is there all those in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much. On to section D of our agenda, which is the report of the executive director, which also includes the solicitor's report. We have a written solicitor's report in our package. Will our solicitor be present, or?
No, Gene sends his apologies for not being able to attend. He had a conflict in court this afternoon, so he provided the memorandum. Kyle and I went over it with him last week. I can walk through it, or if the board has any specific issues, we're just really working through finalizing some of the condemnations from 2022 and some of the other outstanding issues, and working through a lot of the relinquishment agreements associated with those condemnation actions. The one of note, the property on 324 East 22nd Street is scheduled for our Board of View hearing in 2 weeks, March 5th. So yeah, so 2 weeks out, we'll be meeting in the courthouse if we do not come to an agreement with the condemnee at that point, or prior to that point, to stay off the hearing and enter into a relinquishment agreement.
I'm going through the list here.
Hey, Chuck.
Yes.
Jeremy, I have a question on the Bob Lee Pogue property. It looks like there's a resolution that's associated with that one. Is that correct?
On West 18th Street, 711 West 18th?
Yeah.
That
Yes,
is
sir.
correct, Jeremy.
Can you just explain for the board what's going on with that property, I guess, in particular?
Yes, so that is one we had, it was pushed for a board of view. We had the view of the property. Excuse me, I'm sorry. We had the view of the property, and then we were scheduled for a board of view hearing. We reached a settlement with Mr. Pogue for 25,000, but we broke it up into a disbursement based upon 18,000 payable to him at the time of signing of the agreement, and then 7,000 if he removes all of his personal contents from the property. And to explain that, he has been using the property as a storage unit for his yard sale finds. So it is severely cluttered, basement to attic, backyard, multiple vehicles. Just so he was supposed to remove that, and since that, he has not done that. And so the issue here is we haven't rendered him any payment at this point because he hasn't signed the agreement. And the resolution for the board is to accept it, deed in lieu of condemnation. And the hope is that Attorney Placidi gets Mr. Pogue to sign the agreement so that we can then file the deed in lieu of condemnation as opposed to going through with the condemnation action. So if he does not sign the agreement, we are gonna move forward with requesting the Board of View either hear the property or file another motion based upon his failure to sign and just file our just compensation order on the property, which is $18,000.
Okay. So just to confirm, we would pay him if he agrees to the settlement, we're going to pay him the $18,000 plus an additional 7,000 whenever he, I guess, and it looks like he has, I'm assuming under the settlement agreement or whatever agreement that he's signing, he's going to have 30 days to clean out the property. If he does that, then we pay an additional 7,000. If we don't, then I assume we don't pay the 7,000. We just get the property subject to all the stuff.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly. And we have already secured bids, quotes for the clean out of that property. I believe the lowest on that was $6,700. So that 7,000 would then be paid to a vendor to clean the property.
Okay. And it sounds like we have adequate or sufficient funds for that. So
Yes.
okay.
And is there a proposed reuse for this property once acquired?
Yes, it is. It's an eligible rehab property. The property in its current condition is once cleaned out would be a viable rehab candidate. It does have off-street parking. It has an alley behind it, a garage, which potentially will have to be demolished, but we won't know until we get all the stuff out of it. But it will be put out for developer proposals for rehabilitation.
Okay, great, thank you. Any other questions on the solicitor's report?
Chuck, I have one question
Yes,
on
sir.
item number 8, 1129 East Fifth Street. It says that we're exploring the option to demo the structure. It's a present danger in the community, well understood. There is a mortgage holder on that. Do we know who that is? And have we been in contact with them?
What was the property, Kevin?
That was number 8, item number 8, 1129 East Fifth.
Yeah, so Gene has tried to reach out to the mortgage holder on that. The mortgage is current. The property is in deplorable condition. We boarded it up multiple times due to vagrants. So we have bid it out and it is scheduled for demolition. That was Gene's recommendation to demolish it to mitigate our liability as far as the property and the access that continues to happen to it, in hopes that Wells Fargo will write off the mortgage on the property because essentially as long as it gets paid, they're going to continue to accept payments and we can't get contact with the mortgage, the individual who's paying the mortgage.
Well, that's a sticky one. Do we know what the remaining mortgage is on that property?
I don't know that off the top of my head. I know it's in the
Okay.
file in the office.
Yeah,
I can
no
get that
problem.
for you.
It's not an issue. Thank you.
I'm sorry I got interrupted here. Yeah, I was just looking at the property on Google Maps, and I would agree it's in rough shape, and what looks like the adjoining properties look pretty nice. So that will be a good service to the community. All right, any further questions on the solicitor's report? All right, hearing none, we will move it over and ask Mr. Snippert to give us any updates.
General updates. Last week I attended the Infinite Erie budget session. They attended the budget addressed by the governor in Harrisburg, and then met with all of the associated members who have been on all the different delivery teams within Infinite Erie, presented, what's going on. So, that's moving along. I have a meeting scheduled the week after next with Wyatt Schroeder, who is their new housing director, to talk through the housing needs within the city, how the redevelopment authority and essentially the land bank as well are positioned to assist with that. Also, our connection with the Community Land Trust and our work there to help develop and build a land trust within the city of Erie. So I look forward to that conversation. I also appreciate the board allowing us to do this meeting via Zoom today and allowing me to attend as a board member for the Pennsylvania Association of Housing and Redevelopment Agencies. Today we held a very grueling strategic planning session on the status and future of PARA and our vision going into 2027. So a lot of good conversations, a lot of good things to come, and how we're going to work to collaborate with our other practitioners across the state and work together to try to focus on this housing piece and bring resources, and advocate to the governor's office to continue to push for that housing funding that we all know we need. So I appreciate that. And then, the rest of this week, we have the legislative summit for PARA in Harrisburg. So April and I will be attending that tomorrow and Wednesday, and I hope to talk to several of the legislators and other individuals from the Department of Economic and Community Development within the state to see how we can continue to leverage some funding to assist with neighborhood revitalization within the city of Erie. So thank you.
So, Aaron, I know that last week or the week before there was a notice to the board regarding at that time it was a short-term freeze of federal funding. Any other federal updates, or has the authority been asked to review DEI policies or anything like that?
We have not been asked of anything specifically from the federal government associated with any of our grants. The freeze has been at least temporarily lifted. Access to our ELOCs financial payment system has been reopened. So we did submit a draw once that was reopened, and we are continuing along with negotiations on our recently awarded lead grant. I signed the HUD 1044 the end of last week, which approves our contract with HUD. That was done in hopes that we will continue forward with that, and that money will be able to be untouched by any reappropriation of those funds. So as far as right now, everything is still moving forward. We're still working. Holly's been working with the Office of Lead Hazard Control and Healthy Homes in the negotiation of that budget and the budget narrative. So things are still green light, and we're still moving forward. And if there is any changes, I'll definitely get a memo out to the board once that is known.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts, and they seem to move every hour. So
Yeah.
I'm living DEI right now. As an aside, at Edinburgh, we have over 600 scholarships, and I've got to review each and every one of them for any reference to any of the DEI related. So that's men's sports, women's sports, minorities.
Wow.
And the threat is withholding federal funding to the university. So be prepared.
All right. Thanks, Chuck.
Sure, you're welcome. Any questions for Aaron? All right. I see we have a guest, and we welcome Jackie Spry, Drew Whiting, and I just don't, oh, and Emily, and I just don't recognize the fellow.
That's Cooper Moore. He's our
Thank
assistant
you.
at the department.
So, Jack, are you our headliner today?
I am. We want to call it that. Can you hear me okay? I just want to make sure that you can hear everything. Okay, great.
We're fine.
Thank you so much for having us today. As you know, Erie is home to a diverse range of buildings and places with significant architectural history, historical or cultural value, making them eligible for inclusion in the National Register of Historic Places and District. The National Register of Historic Places is the nation's official list of historic and cultural resources and places worthy of recognition. Administered by the National Park Service in partnership with the Pennsylvania State Historic Preservation Office, or SHPO, a National Register listing is honorary only and does not restrict a property's use or disposition. A National Historic District may may comprise a downtown neighborhood park or other collection of historically or architecturally significant resources listed together as a district having met certain criteria for eligibility. We currently have 4 National Register Historic Districts in the city of Erie: Federal Row, West Park Place, West 6th Street, and West 21st Street. Several past planning efforts and surveys have identified properties and districts throughout the city of Erie as eligible for listing in the National Register. Lower State Street, which was from 3rd Street to 8th Street, is one of those districts identified through past survey work and given an official determination of eligibility, or DOE, from the National Park Service. Working with our regional coordinator at PA SHPO, the city of Erie began meeting with the 2 entities most significantly involved in downtown's real estate development and revitalization. That is, here with me today, Erie Downtown Development Corporation, or EDDC, and Erie Downtown Partnership. That's Drew Whiting with EDDC and Emily Fetchko with Erie Downtown Partnership. We met to discuss the idea of pursuing a National Register nomination for not just Lower State Street, but expanding this nomination to 12th Street. Recognizing that together we can quickly and effectively address the revitalization of downtown, the city's Historic Review Commission, EDDC, and Erie Downtown Partnership are all in full support of this nomination effort, which undoubtedly would spur millions of dollars in economic development and investment within the city's most notable business corridor. Additionally, establishing a National Register Historic District aligns with Erie Refocus, the overarching policy plan for the city of Erie regarding its long-term growth and regeneration, and recently adopted City of Erie Historic Preservation Plan. While economic incentives are one of the main benefits of placing downtown Erie on the National Register, there are many, many other important reasons to do this. I just would like to mention a few today. By listing downtown on the National Register, the city helps preserve its unique historical buildings, architecture, and landmarks that tell the story of our city's development and culture. Tourism. Historic downtown areas often attract tourist interest in exploring the past, which can boost to local businesses, restaurants, and shops. Listing a downtown district on the National Register can bring in more visitors, creating opportunities for growth. Historic designations can raise property values in the area, as they often make the district more desirable to both residents and businesses looking to invest in a historically rich setting. Being listed on the National Register helps protect the downtown area from being demolished or excessively altered. This ensures that the unique architectural styles, materials, and design elements of the district are preserved for future generations. A downtown with a historic designation can serve as a source of pride for residents, offering a tangible connection to the city's past and a stronger sense of identity. Being on the National Register can open up opportunities for federal and state grants aimed at preserving historic properties. Property owners in a designated historic district may be eligible for tax credits to help offset the cost of restoring or maintaining their properties, making it financially easier for them to invest in preservation. Being also listed on the National Register draws attention to the historical significance of the area. This can increase public awareness of the city's history and encourage local residents and visitors to engage with the past, and many, many other reasons for designating. The Erie Downtown Partnership has generously offered $15,000 to support this nomination. I respectfully request $15,000 in matching funds from the Redevelopment Authority of the City of Erie's Historic Building Improvement Grant. The funding will be used to hire a consultant to conduct a National Register of Historic Places nomination for downtown Erie. We have an incredible opportunity here to move this project forward expeditiously. As stated in the Historic Preservation Plan, quote, "The time is now to continue a sense of urgency in promoting Erie's regeneration," end quote. We can do this with historic preservation serving as a needed approach, a tool, if you will, to revitalizing not only our downtown, but also our buildings, our places, and our neighborhoods. So I thank you very much for the opportunity to come here today and request this funding. I wasn't sure if I was going to ask for a vote at this board meeting or to simply present, give the board time to discuss it. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
I have one, Chuck, if I may go first.
Please. Thank you.
So what would be the next steps after assuming that the designation on the National Register does move forward? What would be the next steps? Is there a local historic district that's currently in place? And if not, would there be one that the city would consider implementing just to have a little bit more, for lack of a better word, in enforcing the historic character? Because as you mentioned at the beginning, it is mostly symbolic. There's not really a whole lot of ramifications for demolishing an existing historic structure in a federal overlay or a federal district, unless there's more, local enforcement, more powerful local enforcement. So just curious if there's anything like that on the table.
Sure. So you're right. This is honorary designation and does not really involve the city at all in terms of any kind of determinations or regulations placed upon properties. The hope is, of course, that this awareness around preservation would absolutely encourage more local designations. I mean, that's essentially what we want to attain and what our historic preservation plan speaks to. So at the moment, though, the focus is not necessarily on the local designation aspect of it, although that would certainly be part. We would hope that would, and there would be strategy around how we would get more local designations within the district itself, or even have the entire district be locally designated at some point in the future.
Great, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Have you, and this is maybe addition too, but I saw that the Pennsylvania Museum and Historic Commission has a planning grant that's out now with a window at maybe it's March 5th. Have you looked at that as a resource to help with this process as well?
I was not aware of the planning grant. We've been working with Bill Callahan who's just a tremendous support to,
Sure.
and he's our regional coordinator, to, he's a tremendous support to us. You know, there is certainly grant funding available that would make us eligible to use the funding to hire a consultant and do a nomination that way. But our discussions led us in a different path.
Okay.
And we felt that instead of waiting for grant funding and working through those processes, we could expedite this and use, use some funding to leverage and hire a consultant in a quicker manner than waiting for the grant funding. Certainly that was an option, that could be an option to us, but we are applying for several grants in the spring. We'll be applying for a Keystone grant to hopefully do design guidelines for residential development. And we'll also be applying for another CLG grant for training and other offsetting costs. So for the last couple of years, those two grants have supported and supplemented this program at the City of Erie.
Okay. Any other board members have any questions before I ask Aaron to maybe provide his insights? Hearing none, Aaron, would you be kind enough to share your thoughts?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Jackie and I have had many conversations as far as how to best utilize the remaining little over $307,000 left in the historic building improvement grant. You know, certainly we granted out a significant amount of funding to a little over 40 property owners for historic improvements to their property, but how we could best use this and looking at what they've proposed and what we've talked as far as how we could utilize this funding. I think this is a great step forward for the City of Erie, the Historic Review Commission, and the downtown, in general. So I fully support this, and I placed it on the agenda as an action item. So if the board wanted to make a motion today, the possibility was there, or if the board would like to table it for further discussion, that's available as well. But certainly I fully support this, and I think it's a good position for the Redevelopment Authority to support and stand behind the historic work being done within the City of Erie.
So the funding resources from the historic preservation area of our funds.
That is correct.
Remind me again what would balance was 30.
It's a little over 307,000 is the balance in the grant in the ARPA program.
Okay. We started with $1 million. We drew down all but 307, and that's where we're at this point, right?
It was $841,500 was the budget for this program initially.
Sure, 841,500. Okay. All right. Well, we have a presentation. We have questions answered or asked. Is there a motion? I'll call for the motion. Is there a motion to grant $15,000 out of the ARPA funds for this project, or is there a motion? We have a motion. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Time for discussion. Any further discussion on this request? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? Any abstains? Motion passed unanimously. Congratulations. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. You're doing great things. We appreciate it. It takes a village, but in this case, it takes a city to run a city. So we're part of, we're all very pleased to be part of it. And
thank you. Thank you to the board. Thank you very much.
Certainly, our pleasure. All right. Moving on to our housing rehabilitation report. Do you guys want to hang around? You're welcome to, or do you want to cruise off? It's up to you. I talked to Jackie and company.
Yes, no, I thank you. We're going to sign off if that's
Okay.
all right.
That's perfectly fine. It's not rude whatsoever.
Thanks, everyone.
It
Okay.
sounds like you guys better get to work. So,
Thank you.
our
Thank you
pleasure.
again.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care. Ollie, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir and board. I'm sorry for the weird angle of my camera. I can't seem to make it work any other way, so I'm looking at you, I swear. But as part of your board packet, you got the updated grant status, where we are with projects and budgets. I am this close to closing out our existing lead grant. We're pretty excited about that. And then, as Aaron already said, we are in negotiations with HUD as normal for now, dealing with all the budget negotiations and environmental review and all that stuff. So we're just gonna keep doing that and hoping for the best. But they just keep coming back with more and more stuff for me to change. So I'm just gonna keep changing it and smiling. Let's see. We're starting to get a bunch of projects through our PA state-led funds, which is excellent. I think we've got actually 6 now in process for that. Healthy homes. We've got some more projects we've kind of revised our spreadsheet on that, so we have a better idea of how much budget we have left. I'm thinking we're going to be able to get another 12 to 14 projects through under that program. So that's good. We're going to start with 6 right now, putting through, and then as some of these get finished, we'll keep revisiting that. County program, we've got 22 completed projects total. That's between us and Corey. 20 of those, 14 are ours. We have a bunch more of those coming down the pipeline right now, so those numbers will start jumping up now that we're hopefully heading towards the end of winter and going to get into a nice early construction season. Last. I'm trying to see what Aaron didn't already cover. We did host another RRP training class in cooperations with our partner at ECAT. 13 new Erie residents achieved certification at that class, so that's really great news. We just awarded contracts for our newest contracts for both a lead abatement trainer, and a lead analysis laboratory. So now that those are placed, we'll start working on scheduling some more of these classes. The partnership with ECAT is going very well. And eventually we want to, I think, grow this where we're, really having more of a cooperative program with them where, maybe we can start getting some of their students out job shadowing with contractors, things like that. Or even with our inspectors, if they're interested in housing inspection or risk assessment. So I think that's kind of where we're trying to head with that eventually. I passed my lead abatement supervisor exam, and I take my risk assessor exam in 2 weeks, which is not nerve-wracking at all. And Aaron, Pat, Dave, and Luann just took their lead risk assessor refresher, so they are all set up, and Dave just took his supervisor refresher. So everybody here is all nice and certified. Aaron and I will be presenting on our recently submitted CDBG 2025 application. So if that is awarded, it will all be allocated as match for the new lead grant. So I think that's pretty much it. The only thing I would mention is Tracy and Kendra and I, they're kind of the community outreach stuff. We have been in talks with Katie Bull of UPMC Health Plan and Daria Devlin from the Build program regarding the new UPMC Community Center. They had approached us about possibly utilizing their space for authority operations. So we're still certainly just having conversations about that. We did get to see the facility. I don't know if Aaron's gotten to go yet, but we'd like to get him in there to see it and talk a little more internally. But it's a neat opportunity. Could be something unique to offer that community, and we'll keep you posted.
Ollie, did you want to touch on your work with the Lead Free Promise Project?
Sure. Which parts?
Give them a high-level overview.
Okay. So Lead Free Promise Project, if you guys aren't familiar, it is a coalition statewide of people who work like us in redevelopment authorities, housing authorities. There are legislators, people who work alongside legislators, pediatricians, people from every walk of life you can think of that deals with 0 to 5-year-olds and has lead poisoning on their radar. We are dedicated to increasing awareness of the dangers of lead in our state, trying, not us as an agency, but some of them are responsible for meeting with legislators, lobbying in Harrisburg. Again, we don't do any of the lobbying, but that's what some of them are able to do to advocate on behalf of these programs. They recently just formed their first board ever. This has been in existence for several years. It predates my time here at the authority, but they'd never had an official board before or funded the way they are now. They did just appoint their first ever board, and I was selected to it. I'm a co-chair of the lead screening committee. I think partly they're impressed with the work we've done with the Erie County Department of Health in terms of getting mobile testing out into the community. We think we're the only ones doing it as of now. And so it is me and then 2 members from the state health department that will be chairing that committee. So that's pretty exciting for us because increasing the rate of testing in our state is one of the biggest priorities that we have as a coalition, and certainly here at the authority as well. So it's pretty exciting for me to be part of. And they also, we're still sort of learning about it. We have a meeting coming up with them. They want to partner with us and the health department. They, along with Children First, had identified the 10 counties in the state who are among the worst for rates of lead poisoning, whose numbers keep going up, those sorts of things. Erie County is one of those identified. We went from 10th worst to 6th worst in terms of the lead poisoning rates, which it's not unexpected with the age of our housing stock and increasing testing. So it's actually a good thing. So they are launching a pilot where they want to help fill in gaps in communities like ours to help get what we need to make sure we're addressing these problems a little bit more proactively, seeing if there's any tools or resources they can offer us in addition to our funding to help us meet the needs of our community, even better. So hopefully by next month we'll have more to talk about with that, but it could be a neat opportunity to have, some additional outside guidance and support on addressing our lead crisis in Erie County.
Thanks, Holly.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions for Holly?
I will always get long-winded when talking about lead, so I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. And just, you mentioned potential co-location. Is it at ECAT at 6th and?
I'm sorry. I didn't hear you, Chuck.
The office space.
Office space.
Oh, the office space is new. So it's in the ECAT footprint. I don't know the address off the top of my head.
800 block East Avenue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's you can't miss it. It's got a beautiful big large mural on the side. Really beautiful front facing. But it's a neat little space. It's got a couple smallish community rooms and I want to say maybe 4 or 5 little designated office spaces and then a reception area. So I know they've talked to like the food bank, possibly having some distribution through there. I can't remember all the other ones that they've been working with, but just offering different services right there in the heart of the community to increase accessibility. So it's a neat space. Definitely reach out to Daria if you're interested in checking it out for yourself.
So and it just feels like it's good to be closer to some of the people that we serve, and it feels like it.
It's based off a model. There's one of these in existence in Pittsburgh that's been very successful, and because of their success, Erie's was identified as the next place to get one of these. They think it will be successful here, so could be really neat. Excited to see what they do with it.
Thank you. All right, any other questions? Holly, thank you so much. Appreciate everyone's work.
Thank you, sir.
My pleasure. So moving on to item number 3, which is the CDBG funding request. Is that yours, Aaron?
Yeah. So unless Holly wants to take it, but this is as Holly discussed, we'll be presenting on Friday our proposed application to the city for CDBG funds, all in a match to our newly awarded lead grant. So the submission we put in on January 31st was for 96,000, and the city's match to the lead grant was 96,000 over 4 years. So this is the first of 4 applications for that. This resolution is just more of a housekeeping matter that if we move forward with the city in negotiating the CDBG funds, they will ask for a board resolution. So this will just be on file when that time comes for the city to have. So, and as we'll present on Friday to them, the city has been, good at providing the CDBG match to our lead grants historically, dating back to 2007. So this is just a continuation of the city's support with CDBG funds to lead hazard control.
And the city did provide us a written letter of match when we submitted our application. And I believe it was $384,000 total. So as Aaron said, $96,000 a year over 4 years.
Good. All right, so you're looking for a motion to accept the resolution as presented.
Yes.
Would somebody be kind enough to make that motion? Andy, are you making the motion for us?
Yes, I will make that motion.
Perfect. Is there a second to the motion for the CDBG application?
Second.
All right, Ethan, thank you so much. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Abstain or opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Next resolution is on relating to the topic that we discussed a little bit ago, and that's 711 West 18th Street. I think we covered the details. Any further questions or concerns about this condemnation, or deed in lieu of condemnation, I should say? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the resolution as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Any nays? Hearing none, we will mark that as being carried as well. Item number 5 is our audit contract for 2024. It looks like it's a 5-year engagement that we're looking at. Aaron or April, I'm not sure who's going to cover that.
All right, yeah. So the resolution, as it says, we received 6 proposals in our RFP asked for auditors for the 2024. So Zulius Koff and Axelrod was the chosen vendor after review of those 6 proposals. This is an agreement for 1 year, renewable for up to 5. We did provide the board with the 5-year breakdown of how the payment structure will gradually increase over the next 5 years as part of this contract. So this would be, like I said, this resolution is for us to enter into a contract with them and move forward with the 2024. And they perform the City of Erie's audit along with multiple redevelopment authorities and other municipal agencies across the state of Pennsylvania. So they're well versed and experienced in audits of our type.
I think it was mentioned maybe at another meeting that they have experience with, either housing authorities or redevelopment authorities, so they speak our language.
Yes, very much so. So our hope is that we will get this completed by June, as has been the hope every year for the past 3 years. So the hope is in June we're presenting you with an audit and financial statements.
Great. All right. Any observation questions, Ethan?
Yeah, I'm just curious. I think 12,000 for the financial audit, 4,000 for single audit. That's pretty good, right, for accounting services right now. I'm curious what some of the other quotes that we received with the RFP had for indicative pricing, if it got that far.
The ranges between the 6 RFPs that we got were so of course they combined the 12,000 and 4,000 together as one price because of the audit in its entirety, how they have to present that. So the 16,000 up to about 42,000, it was quite a range.
And I see this firm is from Louisville, but it appears that they have some more local offices. Did we receive a lot of national interest like that, or is this just mainly because the principal office is in Louisville?
So they do have offices in Pittsburgh and Erie as well, that they operate out of. So there are some people here locally that they can come on site, but we did receive some from all over, actually. We had down south, I think it was Kentucky. We had one from Texas, and then we had some local PA state-based ones.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions or observations?
I will say, compared to 2 years ago, the last time we RFP'd for auditor, the response was far greater and well welcomed compared to what we had in the past.
Well, I
Do we
think-
know of anybody else that uses this accounting firm?
You know, if you watch the lottery every night, that they are audited by Zelenkowski Axelrod on their commercials, so you can see that. But yes, the city of Erie, and then they had given a long list of many various types of authorities, townships, municipalities in Pennsylvania. I believe they do like Westmoreland County, some of the other local authorities that we have, interactions with periodically at conferences and networkings and things like that. So I have heard of them before.
Okay.
Any other thoughts? Hearing none, I'll call for the motion. Is there a motion to accept the resolution to engage this, I'm not going to try to pronounce them, this particular auditing firm as requested by our administrative staff?
I so move, Jeff.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, Jeremy, thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or any abstains? Hearing none, motion carries. All
Thank
right.
you.
You're quite welcome. Thanks for the work. It's challenging to go RFP and review and recommend. So April, I know you probably headed that effort, so appreciate your work on that. And tell the world we need to graduate more accountants. We need more accountants, right, Ethan?
Yeah.
It's just there's not enough accountants out there.
You need to talk to the higher ups at the public accounting firms. Otherwise, nobody's going to want to go into accounting.
Indeed. It's fun, right? It's fun, they say.
There's a reason I'm on the consulting side.
Indeed. All right. Is there any other business to bring forward to the board this afternoon?
No other business on my end.
All right. Any announcements? Hearing none, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. I'm assuming all those in favor, say aye.
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 Right. Well, you'll have 11 minutes back to your schedules. We appreciate everyone's time today. Covered a lot of territory. Appreciate everybody being prepared, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good evening. Thank you.